At this moment, he might be the most excited man alive, because he just took out a ring in front of his girlfriend. He wants to propose to the girl he loves most on this beach. The two young people hug and kiss tightly, infinitely looking forward to a beautiful future together. This blissful man named Rapp decided to go back to the beach to fetch 2 glasses of celebratory wine. He looks back as he walks, as if his girlfriend might vanish if he takes his eyes off her for even a second. He arrives at the beach bar, intending to ask the bartender to mix 2 cocktails to celebrate his successful proposal.
Oh, whoa, maybe not that strong.
Suddenly, a group of terrorists armed with AK-47s arrive on speedboats and unleash a massacre on the innocent tourists. Rapp is shot in the thigh, but he still desperately runs towards the water because he needs to find his girlfriend, Katrina. Meanwhile, Katrina is also searching for Rapp among the scattering crowd. In the next second, however, the scythe of death swings toward this innocent girl.
Katrina!
Rapp struggles to crawl to Katrina's side, but the body of the woman he loves most is already slowly turning cold, and his world completely collapses. Over a year passes like this, but Rapp hasn't escaped his pain. Unkempt and bearded, his former sunshine and hope are now shrouded in haze. He has lost the direction and meaning of life, leaving only the thought of revenge to support his continued survival. Every day, he places a specialized Arabic template on his keyboard to secretly chat and make contact with terrorists in the Middle East on the dark web. He pretends to be a loyal believer to gain their trust. His goal is to get close to the terrorist leader who killed his girlfriend and then take his revenge. To achieve this, he specifically teaches himself skills like mixed martial arts and firearm shooting. However, because he is constantly suppressing the anger of revenge inside him, Rapp is like a volcano ready to erupt at any moment. He gets agitated easily and causes trouble. While practicing shooting at a civilian range, he picks up an ACR assault rifle and fires wildly. He treats the targets as terrorists, and for a moment he forgets himself and rushes into the prohibited shooting zone. Driven by his anger, his combat skills are also rapidly increasing. What he doesn't know is that his every move has long entered the CIA's agent selection system. Whether on the road or in Rapp's own home, all his actions are under strict CIA surveillance. This is the first layer of the CIA agent training system, background checks. Candidates must pass name checks to rule out sensitive backgrounds, as well as family and personal history investigations to ensure there are no potential risks. Under their surveillance, they discover that Rapp has successfully made contact with the terrorists. The next day, he travels thousands of miles to Tripoli, the capital of Libya. He goes ashore in the old city, and guided by several strong men, he arrives at the terrorist base. While taking off his sunglasses, he secretly removes a small blade hidden on the frames. After a full-body search reveals no issues, he is taken to a room. He finally sees the enemy he has been thinking about day and night, the terrorist leader who murdered his fiancée right in front of him. When the leader questions him, his bound hands begin to move. The veins in his right eye throbbed violently, and the moment his hands were freed, he would lunge forward and kill his enemy with his own hands. After a burst of intense gunfire and explosions, Rapp realizes the terrorist leader has already died before his eyes. But he isn't satisfied. He trained hard for so long just to kill the terrorist leader with his own hands. He struggles to crawl to the leader's side, pulls out his dagger, and stabs it viciously into the corpse. At this moment, several U.S. Special Forces soldiers storm into the room and forcibly drag away the somewhat manic Rapp. He is taken back to CIA headquarters. Within a month, he undergoes dozens of interrogations. After repeatedly confirming that his family background and personal history are completely clean, CIA Deputy Director Kennedy finally walks into his interrogation room. It turns out Kennedy sees that Rapp wants to wipe out terrorist strongholds one by one, but he can't achieve this goal alone. She can help him by letting him join a secret operations unit codenamed Orion, training him to become a professional secret agent. Eventually, Rapp agrees to be recruited. Kennedy sent him to Camp Peary in Virginia. According to records, this is a secret CIA base covering 9,000 acres. It is ranked among the top 5 most mysterious military bases in the U.S. known as the Farm. A large number of senior CIA agents are trained here. Interestingly, although the existence of the Farm is widely known, the U.S. government has never formally acknowledged the location. It is as mysterious as the legendary Area 51. Kennedy brings Rapp to the camp, where they are greeted by Orion's instructor Hurley. He is a former Navy SEAL who specializes in training new agents here. However, having seen Rapp's record, Hurley doesn't think highly of him because he is too impulsive. But since Rapp is a rookie personally brought in by Kennedy, Hurley has to do a favor for his superior. Yet, as soon as Kennedy leaves, they start clashing the moment they speak. Although they find each other unpleasant, Rapp's special training begins. Here, he systematically learns close-quarters combat and strikes to enemy weak points. When Rapp spars with fellow trainee Victor, Victor jokingly punches him, which reignites his anger. Rapp rushes up, grabs Victor, and beats him wildly. Instructor Hurley, feeling the fight isn't chaotic enough, occasionally adds difficulty from the sidelines with sneak attacks to train their reaction and adaptability. As a former Navy SEAL, Hurley constantly instills various cruel rules of being an agent into the trainees.
You're about to be captured. Bye-bye.
As a top-tier agent training camp, Rapp and others also use high-tech equipment to assist in training. They wear Oculus Rift headsets and motion capture gear, using VR technology to simulate combat scenarios and search for targets in crowds. Shooting the wrong target results in an electric shock penalty. Each set of this VR equipment used for military training costs over $500,000. During training, Hurley starts to play dirty. He deliberately implanted the image of the terrorist leader into the VR system and even modified it to be recognized as a civilian who must not be shot. Rapp falls for the trap. Seeing this person appear, he involuntarily shoots him in the head. He gets shocked as soon as he shoots. The power of this shock is significant. Many trainees vomit uncontrollably from the electricity and give up on the spot. But Rapp endures it like a madman, constantly firing at the popping image of the terrorist leader until he is finally shocked to the ground. Only then does Hurley realize that this young man has a ruthlessness that ordinary people don't possess. In addition to high-tech virtual scenarios, trainees also participate in dark OPS, escape room-style live-action mission training. Professional actors assist throughout the process to create an immersive experience, allowing trainees to cultivate combat capabilities. In a scenario built like an IKEA environment, Rapp notices a pregnant woman behaving unnaturally. Sure enough, just as Victor is about to be assassinated by the pregnant woman, Rapp shoots in time to save him. Hurley begins to change his attitude toward Rapp. While they are undergoing high-intensity training, a secret underground transaction is taking place in a van at a busy market in Warsaw, Poland. A man is preparing to buy fuel for making nuclear bombs from Russians. After confirming the equipment is correct, the man takes out his phone to transfer the funds. Suddenly, there is a knock on the door from outside, and the people inside are so scared they hide in the corners. It is a patrolling police officer knocking. The officer tells the man to move the vehicle, as parking is not allowed there. But just as the man prepares to close the door, the officer suddenly blocks it. Realizing the situation inside seems off, his colleague behind him has already started calling for backup. In an instant, the man kills everyone in the car, then flees the square while shooting, carrying the fuel on his back, eventually disappearing into the evacuating crowd. Far away at the training camp, Hurley sees this news from Warsaw on TV. He sees the image of that man and is stunned because this man is too familiar to him. He rushes back to CIA headquarters to see Kennedy and shows her the man's photo. It turns out both of them know this man. He was once the best student Hurley ever trained, codenamed Ghost, a rogue agent. He was supposed to have been eliminated in an embassy bombing, but unexpectedly, he has now appeared in Warsaw carrying nuclear elements. This matter is no small trifle. Kennedy decides it is time to end Rapp and the others' training. Hurley flies the best-performing trainees, Rapp and Victor, to Istanbul, Turkey. Intelligence suggests a Russian arms dealer there will be selling a nuclear trigger, and the CIA guesses the seller is likely Ghost. A local female agent, Annika, meets them at the airport and will cooperate with their operation. Rapp and Annika partner up, watching the situation downstairs from the arms dealer Sharif's apartment. They spot the target and his assistant talking by the roadside. Rapp, who was only supposed to observe, suddenly stands up and walks toward the assistant. This sudden move leaves Annika a bit bewildered. Rapp deliberately walks up to Camille, bumps into him, and brushes past. Through this, he he steals Camille's phone. Hurley wanted to scold him for being too reckless, but unexpectedly, the phone Rapp stole reveals important information. Sharif will go to a restaurant for a transaction tomorrow. Camille would never dare tell his boss he lost his phone. He would only hide the fact. The next day, Rapp and Annika pose as a couple sitting opposite the restaurant, responsible for monitoring the perimeter. Before long, they spot Sharif's car arriving. So, Rapp and Victor begin their move. The two enter the restaurant one after another. Sharif sits at the bar and places a car key next to him. A person appears beside him and takes the car key. It is Ghost. Also a former agent, Ghost spots Victor secretly monitoring him from behind through the reflection in the glass cabinet. Ruthless Ghost doesn't say a word. He grabs a table knife from the table and walks toward Victor, also snatching Victor's silenced Glock 19 from his chest. Rapp sees the situation is wrong and rushes over. Ghost, having removed the silencer, raises the gun and shoots at him. The gunshot immediately causes chaos, and Ghost escapes in the confusion. Rapp rushes to check on Victor, but he is already dead. Hearing Rapp's report and knowing the mission failed, Hurley immediately orders the mission over and a full retreat. But seeing Sharif being escorted into a car by bodyguards, the hot-blooded Rapp doesn't want the mission to end so pitifully. He disobeys Hurley's order and chases directly after them. Rapp immediately got into Camille's car, took him hostage, and forced him to follow Sharif's vehicle all the way to a luxurious residential building. This is where Sharif's mistress lives. Camille thinks Rapp is going to kill him, but instead Rapp pulls off Camille's smelly sock and stuffs it into his mouth. Rapp climbs into the yard, but suddenly several guard dogs rush out, scaring him onto the roof of a car. The three dogs chase him relentlessly, so Rapp exerts his strength, kicks through the sunroof, and hides inside the car. The dogs continue to bark around the car. Realizing the noise will alert the people upstairs, Rapp wraps his arm in thick car mats, opens the rear door, and lures the dogs into the car. Then he sees the chance to slip out of the car, and the barking immediately grew much quieter. The woman came to the window to check, and seeing nothing unusual outside, she turned around to leave. As soon as she leaves, Rapp quietly climbs in through the window. However, the woman still spotted him and screamed in fright. The bodyguard immediately shoots. Seeing the enemy getting closer, Rapp, hiding behind a cabinet, rushes out and blocks the bodyguard Scorpion Evo 3 submachine gun. In the fierce struggle, he knocks the gun from the opponent's hand and engages in hand-to-hand combat. The bodyguard is highly skilled, picking up glass shards from the ground and stabbing them wildly into Rapp. Rapp kicks the door open and points his gun at Sharif. Seeing this scum, it is as if Rapp sees the face of his sworn enemy, and he eliminates Sharif without hesitation. Although Rapp can't avoid a scolding from Hurley, the laptop he brings back is very useful. It details the weapons list and transfer records from Sharif to Ghost. Among them, $2 million was transferred to a bank account in Rome and hasn't been withdrawn yet. Now that Ghost has all the materials to make a nuke, all he lacks is a nuclear weapons expert to assemble it. Hurley guesses the $2 million is the fee to hire the expert. Just as the team prepares to rush to Rome, in a tunnel in Rome, a group is brought before Ghost. The visitor is Iranian Chief of Staff Behruz, the man who paid Ghost to buy the nuclear materials on the black market. Since the US has been enforcing nuclear sanctions on Iran, Behruz can only buy materials privately. Once the expert arrives, the nuke can be assembled in a day. At that time, Behruz intends to use it to deal with the Jews. Meanwhile, Hurley, Rapp, and the others have arrived in Rome. They stake out the bank entrance to see who will appear to withdraw the $2 million. While waiting, Rapp feels Hurley is hiding something from him. He noticed Hurley seemed to recognize the man who killed Victor, but Hurley wouldn't tell him. After waiting all afternoon, someone finally withdraws the money and walks out of the bank. Rapp, guarding the door, quickly snaps a photo and sends it to Hurley. A comparison reveals this person is indeed the Iranian nuclear weapons expert. They quickly track him to his hotel. The sexy and beautiful Annika poses as a couple with Rapp, booking a room right next to the experts. Hurley stays outside the hotel to provide backup, and he and Rapp agree to exchange signals every 15 minutes. Annika inserts a surveillance camera into the wall outlet facing the next room. They guard the room, monitoring every move next door to see who will come to pick up the expert. Rapp is very responsible, sitting motionless in front of the TV watching the monitor. At this time, Annika acts strangely, sitting next to Rapp and speaking to him with ambiguous warmth. Rapp looks at her in surprise, unsure why this woman is suddenly being flirtatious. But when Annika gets up and leaves, Rapp looks at the TV screen and realizes something is wrong. The mysterious man has appeared. Ghost subdues both Rapp and Annika. As an agent trained by Hurley, he knows the CIA's operating style perfectly. He interrogates Rapp about where Hurley is hiding. No matter how he tortures Annika and Rapp, they refuse to speak. Just as Ghost prepares to check the window to see if Hurley is outside, Hurley bursts in. Seeing the situation turn against him, Ghost quickly jumps out the window and escapes. The thugs he brought are all killed by Hurley and the team. The location is no longer safe, so Hurley takes the two and the expert to the CIA's secret safe house in Rome. Under Hurley's questioning, Rapp finally learns the mysterious man is named Ghost.
Is that his name? Why is this guy after you? Something personal, sir?
They're building a nuke. I'll tell no one.
Hurley is still unwilling to discuss his history with Ghost. While resting at night, the passionate Annika takes the initiative to bandage Rapp's wounds. She seems to have a fondness for this young man with a unique personality. But Rapp dares not be moved, as the suppressed anger in his heart does not yet allow him to have feelings for any other woman.
Search for Ghost tomorrow.
Before Annika leaves, a sentence she says hits Rapp like a heavy punch. He himself had only just heard the name Ghost for the first time, so how did Annika know it? He rushes into the bathroom and demands to know who Annika...
Say Ghost.
What about him?
I never told you that name.
Hurley did.
Yeah, I think you're full of shit. Who are you?
Mitch, what's wrong with you?
Who do you work for?
I'm CIA! Believe something!
I don't lie to me!
I'm not lying!
You're Orion, aren't you?
Really is. Hearing the word Iranians, Annika suddenly flies into a rage, and the two fight in the cramped bathroom. Annika is no match for Rapp, who chokes her tightly, but she refuses to admit her true identity. Furious, Rapp throws her directly into the bathtub. Eventually, Rapp hands Annika over to Hurley. Hurley finally forces out that Annika is indeed an Iranian spy and learns who her direct superior is. This person seems to be an old friend of Hurley's, so Hurley needs to go meet him immediately, telling Rapp to wait for him at the base. Because the situation is getting bigger, Director Kennedy is also coming from headquarters. Hurley rushes to the ancient city walls of Rome, where someone is already waiting for him. This person is Hurley's old acquaintance, an Iranian intelligence officer, and Annika was the spy he planted in the CIA. He also wants to use CIA intelligence to find Minister Behruz quickly, stop his perverse acts, and avoid plunging his country into war. Just as the two are talking secretly,
It means they are in a hurry.
And the target's Israel.
I wish I had better information for you.
it turns out Ghost had been tracking Hurley all the way here. He uses a Blazer R-93 sniper rifle to kill the intelligence officer and captures Hurley alive. By this time, Kennedy has arrived in Rome with her team. They discover the body on the wall and Hurley is missing. Rapp wants to find his commanding officer, but Kennedy is focused on the nuke. She orders Rapp to follow commands and not act rashly. But how could Rapp obediently stay at home? Watching Annika being escorted out, he has another bold idea. He secretly takes Annika's phone from the table, then drives a car to chase the transport vehicle. He slams his car into the transport vehicle, stopping it and rescuing the handcuffed Annika. It turns out Annika's phone has a tracking signal for Minister Behruz. Finding Behruz might lead them to Ghost and Hurley. They rush to the road. Rapp spots a car approaching and drives head-on into it intentionally. The driver saw that he had hit someone and hurried out of the car to check on them. Just as he tries to apologize, Rapp hijacks his car and speeds off. As they speed away, Hurley has been taken to a tunnel by Ghost, where he watches helplessly as Ghost finds a new expert to assemble the nuke. The master and apprentice, who haven't seen each other in years, finally meet again, but Ghost shows no excitement upon seeing his teacher, only resentment. He takes off his shirt, revealing a body full of scars. It turns out that during a secret mission 5 years ago, Ghost was captured by the enemy. Because the rescue operation failed, the CIA never sent anyone to save him again, leaving Ghost to suffer torture. He feels abandoned and betrayed by his organization, and he blames it all on Hurley. Ghost used to trust Hurley like a father. Now, he has only endless hatred for him. He begins using CIA torture methods on Hurley, forcibly removing his fingernails with pliers. He knows Hurley has a new impressive student and wants to know where he is, but Hurley refuses to tell him. Seeing that pulling fingernails won't make Hurley speak, Ghost resorts to electric shocks. Then he carves a deep, bloody wound on Hurley's chest with a knife and cauterizes it with a blowtorch. These cruel tortures are methods the CIA uses on enemies, now used on the instructor himself. Having tortured him enough, Ghost decides to officially begin his true revenge. He suddenly pulls out a weapon and kills all the waiting Iranian high officials, sparing not even the nuclear expert. It turns out he never intended to sell the nuke. He wanted to use Iranian funds and experts to build a nuke for himself. He intends to use this nuke to take revenge on the country that betrayed him. Hurley is puzzled by one thing. He doesn't understand why Ghost would place the nuke in Rome. Ghost, of course, won't tell him. He doesn't kill Hurley. He wants to leave Hurley there, to watch helplessly as he sends thousands of Americans into a sea of fire. Ghost activates the countdown for the nuclear explosion. He sets it for only 20 minutes. It seems the location he intends to detonate the nuke is not far away. At this moment, Rapp and Annika arrive at the tunnel. Blocked by a locked iron gate, the slender Annika slips through the gap. Rapp gives her his pistol and tells her to check the situation inside first. Suddenly, he hears several people approaching the gate, so he quickly climbs to the top of the tunnel to hide. Sure enough, 3 of Ghost's henchmen patrol past slowly with guns. After the 3 pass, Rapp jumps down. He runs out of the tunnel, jumps into the sports car, and drives it directly back into the tunnel. The 3 thugs see a car rushing towards them and are so scared they open fire. The car crashes into pipes, causing a fire and threatening a massive explosion, so Rapp quickly hides in a corner. After the explosion, smoke fills the tunnel, and Rapp finally finds the chained Hurley. But Ghost and the nuke are long gone. The rescued Hurley tells Rapp to chase down the tunnel. Perhaps he can still intercept Ghost. Rapp held his machine gun as he walked through the tunnel. Sure enough, he saw Ghost holding Annika hostage, waiting for him. He threatens Rapp to drop the gun, or he will kill Annika. But Ghost didn't expect the Iranian girl he took hostage to be exceptionally fierce. She grabs his gun and shoots herself. Seeing his hostage plan fail, Ghost quickly retreats. Rapp, quickly gathering his composure, continues to chase Ghost. Running out of the tunnel, he sees Ghost speeding away in a speedboat, heading toward the open sea. It seems his destination for the nuclear explosion is there. Rapp sprints and leaps, finally landing on Ghost's speedboat. Seeing this junior of his chasing him relentlessly, Ghost grinds his teeth in anger. He sets the boat to accelerate forward automatically and rushes back to fight Rapp. Ghost actually holds resentment toward this young man. In his eyes, Rapp is like another version of himself. Both are agents trained by Hurley, and all the attention Hurley used to give him is now placed on this young man. Ghost feels jealousy, hatred, contempt, and even a little envy. The two fight evenly in the cabin, constantly thrown into the air and slamming back down heavily with the rise and fall of the waves. Ghost pulls out a dagger, slashing while attacking Rapp's psychological defenses verbally.
Bond can't be stopped. Just like you couldn't stop that beautiful girl from dying on the beach.
Ghost has investigated Rapp thoroughly and knows he is easily provoked by the memory of his ex-girlfriend. Rapp is knocked to the ground. Just as Ghost is about to end his life with the dagger, Rapp desperately blocks the blade. Rapp does not let anger control his emotions.
This isn't personal.
He successfully kills Ghost. At this moment, only 4 minutes remain until the nuclear explosion. Hurley also chases them to the sea in a helicopter. He is still wondering why Ghost went through all the trouble to bring the nuke to the sea. Suddenly, he realizes the answer. The U.S. 6th Fleet is currently in the waters near Rome. It appears Ghost's goal is to destroy the entire 6th Fleet with the nuke. Rapp, now in control of the speedboat, tries to turn away from the fleet, but there isn't enough time. Hurley doesn't give up on his student this time. Risking being killed by the nuke himself, he loudly orders the helicopter to fly over and pick up Rapp. The helicopter flies near the speedboat, and Hurley yells at Rapp to dump the nuke into the sea immediately. This is the only way to reduce the power of the explosion now. This time, Rapp finally listens to orders and unhesitatingly throws the bag containing the nuke into the ocean. Kennedy receives Hurley's message and immediately notifies the 6th Fleet not to open fire. Rapp is pulled onto the helicopter, which then turns and flies rapidly toward the coast. However, the location where the nuke entered the water is still too close to them. The entire fleet puts on biochemical masks and prepares for impact. In the next second, the nuke detonates in the sea. And the fleet begins to suffer from the massive shockwave. Some warships start to break and take on water. The towering waves caused by the nuke lunge at the fleet like a giant wall. Several warships are capsized, and an aircraft carrier is lifted up. Its deck planes washed into the sea. The strong shockwave finally passes, and the sea surface returns to calm. Although the 6th Fleet suffers significant damage, they are not completely wiped out. The CIA gives Rapp a long vacation, and he returns to that beach. Looking at the photo of him and Katrina in his hand, his mood is no longer one of anger, but of remembrance and a sense of release. After experiencing so much, he has walked out of his haze and found a new life. He has also become the prize student Hurley shows off everywhere. A confident and mature Rapp grows into an experienced agent, continuing to be active on the world stage. This 2017 American action film, American Assassin, offers more than straightforward entertainment and thrilling action. It is a film worth savoring and even more worth reflecting on. Unlike the trope in many American action movies where the nuke never goes off, the actual detonation in this film reflects the creator's deep-seated fear of the ever-present nuclear threat. At the same time, the film critiques intelligence agency training systems that have persisted since the Cold War. Notably, the ending showcases the formidable lineup of the 6th Fleet. It is precisely these hidden elements that allow this film to transcend the realm of a typical action flick, becoming a fascinating and unique mirror for observing contemporary international military politics.